Good morning.
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Namaste, namaste.
Welcome. Namaste. And we are extremely fortunate. We are extremely blessed by your presence today. And the Indian Police Foundation, the entire Indian police fraternity is extremely blessed. And we begin the program now. My name is N. Ramachandran. I'm the president of the Indian Police Foundation, and I shall be moderating today's session. To begin the program, I request the president, the chairman of the Indian Police Foundation, Mr. Prakash Singh, to welcome His Holiness.
His Holiness and friends, we, the members of the Indian Police Foundation in particular, and the police fraternity in general, we are privileged to be blessed by you this morning. His Holiness, your subject is empathy and compassion in policing. There is a general impression that police are normally and expected to be rude in their behavior towards the ordinary citizens and harsh in the treatment of criminals. I would say that these are aberrations in our working, which we have inherited from the British Raj. The Police Act of 1861 continues to be enforced to this day, and that affects our working, that affects our ethos. The British wanted a police force which would be at their beck and call and which would enable them maintain their imperial hold over the country. And that is how they designed the police in India to be. Unfortunately, the same situation continues to this day. This has to change. The police should reflect the democratic aspirations of the people. It should be friendly. It should be humane. It should be compassionate. It should be fair and just in its treatment of the ordinary citizens. The Police Foundation has been working to bring about this transformation in the Indian police, and we are happy that we would be blessed by you on this occasion and that our faith and convictions would be reinforced. To quote what His Holiness said on one occasion, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. We must show these qualities in our treatment of the common citizens. A few words about His Holiness himself. He was born in 1935 in a peasant family. At the age of 2, he became the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama means a spiritual guru who has profound knowledge. At the age of 15, he assumed full political power. The Dalai Lamas are supposed to be, or believed to be, reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara, an important Buddhist deity. In 1959, following the Chinese repression in Tibet, His Holiness moved to India and camped at Dharamsala, where he continues to stay to this day. He appealed to the United Nations to consider the question of Tibet, whereupon the General Assembly passed resolutions on Tibet in 1959, 1961, and 1965. His Holiness addressed in 1988 the European Parliament in Strasbourg, Germany. And in 1992, the Central Tibetan Administration published guidelines for the constitution of a future free Tibet. His Holiness was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. In fact, he has received more than 150 awards, honorary doctorates, and prizes in recognition of his contribution to peace in the world. I would like to conclude with another quote from His Holiness, where he said, I quote him, "We can reject everything else, religion, ideology, and all the received wisdom, but we cannot escape the necessity of love and compassion. This is my true religion. This is my true faith." These are words I wish everyone across different countries could imbibe these words and follow his advice. The world would be a much better place to live then. With these words, I conclude, and I would very humbly request His Holiness now to enlighten us with his words of wisdom. His Holiness.
Thank you. Indeed, I feel very happy. I'll say some talk, exchange views, ideas with my Indian friend, general, particularly police force. Now, almost whole my life, I always with some security person. 9 years in Tibet with Chinese police. Since 59 and 60, with Indian police. With Indian police.
Can you go to the other place?
I notice, you see, both taking care or protect me, but differences. Chinese police, of course, Chinese communist. You see, their police. It seems to see two responsibility. One, taking care me, protect me. One, also you see, watching me. The Indian police, very sincere, very sincere. And then China, I think, most population-wise, is the number one country, most populated nation, but no freedom. Although very ancient cultural heritage, and China historically as a Buddhist country, but you see there are a lot of change there. Basically, you see. Totalitarian regime. Now India, genuine, you see, freedom, democracy. The number two most populated nation, meantime, completely freedom. Look, India, all major world religious tradition live together. I noticed, you see, when I met Indian Muslim, they never show some sort of uncomfortable feeling between Shia and Sunni. Nothing. So this country, over 1,000 years, the Indian spirit, spiritual, over 3,000 years, ahimsa, karuna. So this country, till now, you see, carry these principles. So democracy, very fit, you see, this idea. Respect all religion and all different group of people. Like I said, I think it's India, South Indian, North Indian, you see different part of Indian, even different language, different script. But all, you see, very happy remain within the union of India, Indian Republic. So this is really, I think, example to whole world. Different people, different language, even if it's different religion, but can live together according principle of non-violence and karuna. So the Indian police also actually a protector of karuna and ahimsa. So I really happy with Indian police. No fear. Whenever I met, no fear. Every morning, you see, they look down, some police there, and I express my greeting, and then you see, some would say, some jokings, mainly these Indian police is who take care of me day and night according principle of ahimsa and karuna. Wonderful, wonderful. So these now present generation of Indian now should pay more about ancient your tradition or thought, ahimsa, karuna, particularly karuna, very important. So that I always share with my Indian friend. So now here also is I want to tell you. And then India, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest democratic country, now protect this country. Not just its border or these things, but protect 1,000-year-old India's tradition. Very important. These karuna, ahimsa, you see, these Indian tradition actually world need. In modern time, the Western world, mainly Britisher, introduced modern education, modern technology, including science, these things, useful. But meantime, you see, you should try to preserve your own 1,000-year-old tradition. That world need. I often telling in previous century, the Mahatma Gandhi, according to ahimsa, you see, he propagate. Firstly, he practiced within the country freedom struggle through non-violence. And then many parts of the world very much attracted Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence, non-violent struggle. So, number of people in South Africa and also in America, they later, Martin Luther King, who sincerely follow Mahatma Gandhiji. You see, his, I think, widow, wife, you see, once told me, Martin Luther King, so much attracted towards Mahatma Gandhiji's non-violence and karuna. So he even want to dress like Mahatma Gandhiji used to dress. His, the late wife, you see, once told me like that. So there are many people who really so much attracted towards Mahatma Gandhiji's sort of way of thinking, way of life. So when India got independence, leader like Mahatma Gandhiji and also Pandit Nehru or Rajendra Prasad, all these, I think, really, you see, I'll say, they with Indian tradition. So you see, this big country, different language, different script, but all happily live together in Indian Republic. So now India, you see, as I mentioned earlier, in previous century, Mahatma Gandhiji show world non-violence. Now today, India should show rest of the world different language, different sort of custom, different sort of religion can live happily together. So there are so many problems, you see, due to different races, different culture, different religion. So India should be sort of example of different language, different script, different religion can live together happily. So now this 21st century, either 20th century and 21st century, I think you Indian should make effort to promote real harmony among human beings or different nations. Because now today, you see, the concept of, I usually is just telling, we all over 7 billion.
7 billion.
Ka.
7 billion.
7 billion.
Oh,
7 billion.
Oh, billion, 7 billion human being, actually same human being. I fully sort of believe we are same human being. Different nation, different races, different culture, different language, different religion is secondary. The number one, we all same human being. And more important, we have to live together on this planet. So therefore, the concept of oneness with this concept of belief, wherever I go, I always feel I visit another human group. Different culture, different nationality, different religion is secondary. Important is we are same human being. We have to live together. So according Indian tradition, ahimsa and karuna, I carry, you see, with that principle. So wherever I go, I always feel it is our home, same home. So that's, I think, key point. There are so many conflict on the basis of small differences. And firstly, different nationality and different religion, these things. So India now, because of the 21st century, I think India can show rest of the world different culture, different religion. We can, these are minor. We are same human being. We have to live together. And according to today's reality, global economy. And then on top of that, the global warming. That also whole world now facing the same problem. No differences in nationality or like that. So I appreciate Indian police, you see, protecting not only just one nation, but with, the nation with the concept of world need and these concepts. So you are protecting that country with that ideology. So I very much appreciate. Now some questions. Question? Any?
Your message of hope, respect to all human beings, ahimsa, non-violence. Your Holiness, today a few thousand police persons from across India are watching and listening to you today. Now we move on to the next part of the program, that is questions and answers. The first question is from Sri Tajinder Singh Luthra, IGP Chandigarh. Over to you, Tajinder.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Your Holy Highness, I'm really grateful to you for giving me this opportunity of asking a question to you. Your Holy Highness, my question is that in police, I'm a police officer. In police, the general perception is that if you show empathy and compassion, you are considered a weak or soft person. Rather, in police, we want to be macho and muscular. And in this culture, we become impersonal, we become emotionless, and we become rigid. And all this we do in the name of rules. So, Your Holy Highness, my question is, how should we dispel this perception that by adopting values of empathy and compassion, you will not be considered a weak person or a soft person? This is my question, Your Holy Highness.
More sort of rigid method. It's a method. Whether that something negative or not is entirely dependent on motivation. Taking care of the larger people and principle, then the method sometimes a little bit was restricted.
Strict.
Harsh method. Yes, you see, no problem. Like I think you may see in a Tibetan sort of also the tradition, many different form of deities. Some are very wrathful, but you see, all you see the expression of compassion. To people who need a little restriction, then you see more also the wrathful action, wrathful deities, like that. So therefore, you see as a police, under certain circumstances, you need a little harsh method, strict method, with sincere motivation and the protection of larger interest. So there's no problem, no contradiction. Okay. Any action, whether something negative or positive, it's entirely depend on motivation and goal. So therefore, you say there is no, the contradiction. The police force, and under certain circumstances, a little bit, the harsh method. There's no problem. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question is from Mr. Rakesh Asthana, DG BSF.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I am Rakesh Asthana, DG BSF. Border Security Force has the responsibility of guarding the international border, both during war and peace. We have two borders, Indo-Pak and Indo-Bangladesh. BSF being deployed along hostile borders on the Western Front and porous borders on the Eastern Front requires our men to maintain highest levels of vigil. They are also exposed to high levels of stress, more so as they stay away from their families for a very long period. Your Holiness, my question is, what is your advice to our BSF personnel and personnel of other police forces about how they can deal with the personal and professional stress and maintain alertness, calmness, and joyfulness at the same time? Thank you.
Yes. I often used to telling Indian force, particularly in Ladakh area, when I visit and when I have occasion meeting with Indian Army forces, I'm telling them this side, police or army with uniform and weapon, and the other side also you see weapon. But here, Indian force is really protecting ancient, you see, Tibetan culture, our culture, not destroying. And main motivation still compassion, according principle, also the ahimsa. The other side, same sort of military person, they actually say under order, not much is that kind of sort of idea or feeling. And then, although this is a little bit political sort of sensitivity, the other side, the Chinese communist, you see, they consider Tibetan unique cultural heritage. including Buddhism, is source of separation. So is some problem. Now, although now changing, things are changing. So you see, the same uniformed with a weapon, but one protecting the truth. Other, you see, try to, narrow-minded. So therefore, the people, Indian Army, you see, who posted in this area, of course, things are firstly altitude, very high, difficult. But you see, the purpose, you protect the Indian, also the freedom, Indian culture, and also you see, also the indirectly protecting Tibetan 1,000-year-old tradition of non-violence. So therefore, these people, you see, in spite some sort of physical difficulties, with certain sort of principle, then should feel courage and determination.
The Quran mermidzo, the kemi sangsam di Quran gya mermid gore. Quran mermidzo sama Pakistan da Bangladesh sangsam da tangere border security force tangere. 그래서 콘주 비게 대백감다 그뒤는 셈나로 까이에 잠잠 공사마라 콘주 셈 까이에 슈즈요리스 까이네 대 야오로 지 콘주 깔랍슈야다 셈나 때스 점.
Okay. Then those Indian police or Indian army facing Pakistan or Bangladesh, see, that's a little different. The Indian army or who posted in border, Pakistan border, and also Bangladesh now changing. Still, like Pakistan, of course I respect Pakistanis, but you see, a little bit sort of rigid, like that. So, you see, Indian army, Indian people should feel, you see, they carry something like certain action, certain duty with principle. So, little sort of difficulties that you see you should feel, oh, I sacrifice my personal little uncomfortable. That's okay. I carry this duty with certain principle. So then, no problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Your Holiness, the next question comes from Mr. Asim Arun, Additional DGP, Uttar Pradesh.
Thank you, sir. Your Holiness, my name is Asim Arun. I am responsible for 112 emergency service, which extends help to more than 16,000 persons per day. My question is about non-violence and police. Police is fundamentally about establishing the monopoly over violence by the state. On the one hand, we are responsible for ensuring that no citizen uses violence against another citizen. And on the other hand, the police sometimes itself is supposed to use violence against the citizens. Now, this is mandated by law also. So how should a police constable resolve this dilemma? So very simply speaking, can a policeman or a policewoman profess non-violence?
As I already mentioned, you see, I spent 9 years, about 9 years, with Chinese police. And then now 60 years in India with Indian police. but the system make differences. The Indian police, according principle or democracy or freedom. So, in case some people who won't listen reasons, then sometimes you need a little bit sort of restriction or so that's you see, we cannot judge on the basis of action, but motivation and principle. So police actually, in principle, protecting value, protecting democracy, liberty. So in case some individual won't listen, reason, then little bit sort of, how say, a harsh method. That's okay, no problem.
The next question, Your Holiness, is from Captain Raghu Raman, member of the Indian Police Foundation.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Your Holiness. My question is more at a level of an individual policeman. And as you're aware, most policemen are very overworked. Not just policemen, this is valid almost for all security personnel, under-resourced, they're disillusioned in many cases. In many instances, they are in poor health, poor diet, unable to look after their own family, caught between political pressures and outnumbered, and most importantly, usually unappreciated for all the efforts that they make. How do we expect such an individual to have compassion and empathy? Why wouldn't this individual, like any other human being, take out his or her frustration on any avenue that they can? And usually that avenue will be the poor and the people who really cannot, sort of respond back in force. How do we expect that human being to display empathy and compassion given the amount of stress, strain, pressure that they are operating under?
Now here, naturally, you see, thinking from holistic way. For example, when I getting lesson from my teacher, you see, my teacher always keep one whip. That's, you see, so for temporary, for surface, I get some fear. But then, you see, thinking for good purpose, so no problem. So similarly, now these police and any human community, some mischievous people always there. So you see, firstly, I always telling the education. We should emphasis on education system about non-violence and karuna. India's today's education mainly introduced by Britisher, as I mentioned earlier. So Indian education system should include moral principle, karuna, these things. That's one way. Then one way, you see, in spite, you see that some people a little bit naughty, so they won't listen, reason. So sometimes need little restriction or little sort of harsh method. So I think thinking the holistic way, And then Indian police, now as I mentioned earlier, India's democracy, freedom, these really worthwhile to protect. So when some few mischievous people, you say, come, you see, you need little sort of a harsh method for good purpose, as I mentioned earlier. Here is one, my own story. You see, when I was young, I'm quite sort of clever. Look my teacher's face. So one teacher, since I know from my birthplace area, so he also part of one teacher. So sometimes I say,
To ride on his shoulder.
oh,
I ride on his shoulder.
And I asked that my teacher, you should read. So later, you see, another teacher told me, see, this young boy, the young Lama, quite clever. So you should also pretend more reserve. So my teacher, Chinarmachi, once told me he find difficult the Dalai Lama, young boy, and very clever. And for that person, he sometimes find it difficult to remain some
Stern. To remain stern.
So like that. So therefore, the purpose is the key point. So all police, you see, of this country, you see, with principle, protect India's democracy, India's sort of culture, India's sort of also the nation. So in certain circumstances, a little sort of harsh method, that's okay with really also the principle. So no problem.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question is from Srimati Satwant Atwal Trivedi.
Good morning, Your Holiness. Being from Himachal, Holiness, it's been my blessed fortune to be in your presence many, many times at your residence. And today again, it's sheer joy to have listened to you early morning. The day has begun so well. Thank you so very much. Holiness, my question is, why does mankind sometimes become the enemy of humankind? Thank you.
Okay. Now, all sentient being loves compassion, karuna, even animal, birds. And now, according to scientists, since we are social animal, even physically, you see, individual sort of life depend on group of the society. So therefore, you see, we human being or social animal, from the childhood, our life depend entirely on the community. So loving towards community is your own question of your own survival, question of your own happiness. So now education, should pay more attention about, you see, compassion, sense of concern of others' well-being. So just complete selfish, think oneself, then that person, you see, never be happy person. That's the reality. So now education, modern education, is lacking to teach basic human nature is more compassion. So for whole life, happy life, successful life depend on the community. So loving kindness towards community is something very essential. So this not through religion, but through use common sense and through education. That's our existing modern education lacking. So eventually, I often used to telling the ancient Indian thought, karuna, ahimsa, and modern education should combine. So modern education, not talking these things, and then whenever some problem happen, then they say God, 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 God. This is not sufficient. We must reason through our intelligence. So Indian tradition, you see, over 1,000 years, this country already have shamatha and vipassana, investigation, analytical meditation. So now modern education mainly oriented about, usually I tell, physical hygiene of physical comfort. Now Indian 1,000-year-old Indian sort of tradition is actually hygiene of emotion. So this must combine not in the name of religion, but secular ethics. According to Indian sort of tradition, whether believer or non-believer, you see, you want be happy person, happy family. So in order to create happiness is inner peace important, whether you believer or non-believer. So I think India's 1,000-year-old tradition, secular, is very important. Religion is personal. And the compassion, these things are community, whole community need, whole human being need. Religion, different, like that. Okay.
Thank you, Holiness.
The next question comes from Mr. Rashesh Shah, President of the Indian Police Foundation. I'm sorry, member of the Indian Police Foundation.
Thank you, Your Holiness. It's a great honor and very gratifying to see you, hear you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity. The one question I have is, when we discuss about the police force and empathy, unfortunately, the police force, the individuals come across some of the very bad side of human nature. They see crime, they see bad behavior. Unfortunately, by the very nature of the job, they get exposed to the dark underbelly of human behavior. In the face of that, in the constant exposure to this, how does an individual maintain empathy, positivity, and faith in the better nature of human being, because it is a constant balance. So how do you counterbalance it as a policeman or as a police person? Thank you.
Some people, you see, I think because of, you see, circumstances, under circumstances, their way of life, it becomes something very, too much cunning or too much selfish and don't care about other, don't care principle. Then, in such case, you need, according to that circumstances, sometimes you need little restricted, rigid sort of system. That's with sincere motivation, compassionate motivation. So that little sort of restricted method is actually part of your Dharma practice. So the ultimately motivation and compassionate motivation and taking special care about those or the stupid, you see, person. There's no other way except little sort of rigid method. There's no problem. No problem. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question is from Sri Sanjoy Hajarika, member, Police Foundation.
Your Holiness, Tashi Dilek, please accept our humble wishes for your good health and long life. And we ask for your blessings for our families, close ones, and colleagues. Your Holiness, my question is simple. What, in your view, is the single most important quality that a police officer should have to build public confidence, do her or his job efficiently, and ensure public accountability?
So now, any human action, since we have this intelligence, so human sort of intelligence, very important. Intelligence combined with sense of compassion, combine these two things, then I think generally Indian public, I think, trust Indian police because this is a democratic country and Indian police also, you see, according to their moral principle, not like totalitarian sort of countries' police. So mainly, I think use human intelligence and look the holistic picture. Then, according their circumstances, without losing your principle, ahimsa, karuna, and certain sort of action you may need according their circumstances. But there's no problem. I feel like that.
Next question. Sorry.
Yes.
The next question, Your Holiness, is from Sri M.L. Kumawat, member of the Indian Police Foundation. Sri M.L. Kumawat. I think Sri Kumawat is not reachable. I will ask the question, Your Holiness. The question from Sri Kumawat is that once Mahatma Gandhi once said, if I maintain a police force, it will be a body of reformers. The question to you, Your Holiness, is how to transform police into the role of reformers, the role that the father of the nation envisioned. Thank you.
It is very practical. As a sort of free country, democratic country, does not mean every single person, you see, really, I'll say, carry this moral principle. So, in certain individual, a little bit, I'll say, they naughty, or a little bit sort of, I'll say, they too much selfish or narrow-minded, then you need, and one individual's, you see, because of their, how say the way of life, affect society. Then, you see, logically, we must take care, more important of the value or peaceful of society than individual. So, you take care for society's peace, harmony, sometimes a little harsh sort of method for to few individuals. So that's Indian police. Basically, police of freedom, free country, democratic country, and occasionally some restrictions. That's already now practiced that. So I think India now since I came 59, right? I really loves this country, and also you say loves Indian police, Indian army also. So as a sort of a big country, and your neighbor is sometimes it's difficult. So the police have to act according to the circumstances. In Kasajut, Manipur. Manipur. Or some area is a little bit sort of also complicated people. So accordingly, you need little restrictions.
Strict methods.
So restriction for good purpose, then no problem. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The last question is from Professor Arvind Verma, member of the Indian Police Foundation. He is a professor in Indiana University in the United States.
Thank you, Your Holiness. I'm very fortunate to have received your blessings when you visited Bloomington, Indiana, some years ago. I teach about police in my university, and my question is about criminal justice system. I teach about peacemaking criminology, which says that crime is suffering going from the criminal to the victim. but the police deals with this suffering with violence by sending the offender to jail in the name of trying to deter crime. We know that locking someone in jail does not reduce crime. So my question to you is, what is the Buddhist system? How will you have in the Buddhist system police and jail? And how will this Buddhist system seek to reduce crime and build a healthy, moral, compassionate society? Thank you.
I don't know. Buddhism, I think the individual business, any religion, like any religion. So the society, the believer or non-believer, and believe this religion, that religion, variety. The society we should consider as a human society, human being. So as I often mentioned, here also I mentioned, education system. You see, we should pay more attention according the secular way, educate student more compassionate, self-discipline. So student or generation come from that kind of education, then naturally more compassionate sort of student. I already mentioned, since we more social animal, more compassionate, so our education should pay more attention about our inner value, as I already mentioned. Then inside that is some individual becoming more, indisciplined one. And then you need a little sort of strict rule to deal such things. But now here, death sentence, I always say against death sentence, or better to put in prison, even life prison. Okay, but death sentence, too much. So in this country, I think death sentence, I don't think. So I think death sentence, I feel not right. Any person once make little mistake, always possible to change through education, through surrounding atmosphere. So then Buddhism, I think some other religion, you see, more talk about, you see, how to deal. But Buddhism in general, training our mind, and then philosophy, logical approach, like quantum physics. There's some idea, quantum physics, very similar that of Buddhist concept. So mainly, you see, transform our mind, not much sort of, explanation or idea how to deal with, you see, criminal. So for example, once you accept monk's rule, then we, bhikshu, for example, 253 rules. serious or what's the most serious or what's the rule dismiss. Otherwise, there is no other sort of what's the method, punishment method, like that. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Your message to the police fraternity is very simple and at the same time, very immensely profound. Your message of patience, mindfulness, empathy, and compassion in policing is something that we will cherish for a very long time. It is very rare in the lifetime of a police officer to be able to listen to you, to a spiritual leader of your eminence. So we are indeed very fortunate and blessed. Your Holiness, on behalf of the Indian Police Foundation and the entire Indian Police fraternity, I wish to convey our deepest gratitude to you for blessing us today and giving us this opportunity for seeing you in person and listening to you, to your advice. Thank you so very much. We would also like to thank members of your secretariat for the assistance in making all the arrangements for today's event. And last but not the least, I wish to place on record our deep gratitude to Shri Amitabh Mathur for making this event possible. I thank all members of the Indian Police Foundation and members of the police fraternity from different parts of the country for logging in and making this event a grand success. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to express my deep appreciation. Indian police, day and night, you see, protect me or look after me. When I met Indian police, no basis fear, happy, trust, like that. So nowadays, every morning, I walk out and then met some Indian police. So I always say greetings and some jokes like that. So Indian police, very peaceful, very peaceful. I really respect, love. Then so Indian police, I think really police for peace, really wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness, for your blessings and good words.
Thank you. Bye-bye.